Today, we're going to explore a topic that is both deeply personal and universally relevant: the power of negative thinking and how we can overcome it. Let me begin with a startling statistic that should give us all pause. 85% of people struggle with low self-esteem linked to negative self-talk at some point in their lives. That's not just a number, it's a wake-up call. It's a clear indication that something is amiss in the way we relate to ourselves and the world around us. Now you might be wondering, why should I care about this? I'm doing fine. But I challenge you to consider, are you truly living up to your full potential? Are you experiencing the joy, fulfillment, and success that you know, deep down, you're capable of achieving? If there's even a shadow of doubt in your mind, then this conversation is for you. Today we're going to embark on a journey into the depths of our minds, guided by the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophers and illuminated by modern psychological insights. We'll explore how to kill our negative thinking, not just to silence that inner critic, but to empower ourselves to live more fulfilling lives. But before we dive in, I want to acknowledge something important. This journey isn't always easy. It might challenge some of your deepest held beliefs. It might make you uncomfortable at times. But I promise you, the destination is worth it. Because on the other side of this challenge lies a life of greater peace, purpose, and potential. So let's begin by understanding what we're up against. What exactly is negative thinking? Negative thinking isn't just a bad mood or a fleeting moment of doubt. It's a pervasive pattern of thought that colors every aspect of our lives. It's the voice that whispers, "You can't," when you're about to try something new. It's the feeling of dread that washes over you when faced with a challenge. It's the constant comparison to others that leaves you feeling inadequate. The ancient Stoics understood this phenomenon well. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, famously said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." This profound insight gets to the heart of our struggle with negative thinking. It's not the events of our lives that determine our happiness or suffering. It's how we interpret those events. Consider this for a moment. Two people can face the exact same situation, let's say losing a job, and have completely different reactions. One might spiral into despair, seeing it as a confirmation of their worthlessness. The other might view it as an opportunity for growth and change. Same event, vastly different interpretations, and consequently, vastly different emotional experiences. This is where the power of Stoicism comes into play. The Stoics weren't just ancient philosophers, they were mental warriors. They developed practical strategies for battling against the tyranny of uncontrolled thoughts and emotions. Their goal? To achieve a state of inner calm and rational thinking, regardless of external circumstances. Now you might be thinking, that sounds great in theory, but how does it work in practice? And I'm glad you asked. Let's delve deeper into the mechanics of negative thinking and how we can combat it using Stoic principles. First, we need to understand where these negative thoughts come from. They don't just appear out of thin air. They're often rooted in our past experiences, our upbringing, societal pressures, and sometimes in misinterpretations of events in our lives. Think back to your childhood for a moment. Were you ever told you weren't smart enough? Did you face rejection or failure that seemed to confirm your worst fears about yourself? These experiences can plant seeds of doubt that grow into full-fledged negative thought patterns as we age. Moreover, we live in a society that often emphasizes what we lack rather than what we have. We're bombarded with messages telling us we're not successful enough, not attractive enough, not rich enough. It's no wonder that negative thoughts find such fertile ground in our minds. But here's the good news. Just as we've learned these patterns of negative thinking, we can unlearn them. And that's where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is a fundamental principle of Stoicism, and it's incredibly empowering when we truly grasp it. You see, while we can't always control what happens to us, we have absolute control over how we interpret and respond to those events. This is the key to overcoming negative thinking. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're about to give a presentation at work. The negative voice in your head starts up. "You're going to mess this up. Everyone will see how incompetent you are." A typical response might be to try to push these thoughts away, to ignore them. But that often just makes them louder. Instead, the Stoic approach would be to examine these thoughts critically. Ask yourself, is this actually true? What evidence do I have that I'll mess up? Haven't I successfully given presentations before? By questioning these negative assumptions, we can start to loosen their grip on us. But it's not just about challenging negative thoughts. It's about replacing them with more constructive, rational ones. This is where the Stoic practice of negative visualization can be incredibly powerful. Negative visualization involves deliberately imagining worst-case scenarios. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. Wouldn't that just make us more anxious? But here's the thing. By facing our fears head-on, by really examining what the worst outcome could be, we often realize that even the worst case isn't as bad as our anxious minds make it out to be. And more importantly, we can start to plan for how we'd handle that worst-case scenario, which gives us a sense of control and preparedness. Let's go back to our presentation example. Instead of just worrying vaguely about messing up, you might imagine in detail what could go wrong. Maybe you forget your lines, or the technology fails. Then, you'd think about how you'd handle those situations. You might prepare backup notes or have a contingency plan for tech issues. By doing this, you're not only reducing your anxiety about what might go wrong, but you're also preparing yourself to handle challenges if they do arise. Now, I want to address something important here. Some of you might be thinking, this all sounds well and good, but my negative thoughts feel so ingrained, so automatic. How can I possibly change them? This is where we need to understand the concept of neuroplasticity. Our brains are not fixed, they're incredibly adaptable. Every time we challenge a negative thought, every time we choose a more constructive interpretation of events, we're literally rewiring our brains. We're creating new neural pathways that, with practice, become stronger and more automatic. It's like carving a new path through a dense forest. The first few times, it's hard work. But the more you walk that path, the clearer and easier it becomes. Eventually, it becomes the natural route to take. This process takes time and effort, but the results are transformative. I've seen it in my patients, and I've experienced it myself. When we master our thoughts, we master our lives. But let's be clear. This isn't about forcing ourselves to be positive all the time. That's neither realistic nor healthy. The goal is to develop a more balanced, rational way of thinking. It's about seeing things as they truly are, not as our fears or insecurities paint them to be. Now I want to share some practical strategies that you can start implementing today to combat negative thinking. Practice mindfulness. Pay attention to your thoughts without judgment. This awareness is the first step in changing them. Challenge your thoughts. When you notice a negative thought, ask yourself, is this really true? What evidence do I have for and against this thought? Use the what-if technique. Instead of asking, what if something bad happens? Ask, what if something good happens? This simple shift can open up new possibilities in your mind. Practice gratitude. Regularly acknowledging what you're grateful for can help shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life. Surround yourself with positivity. The people and media we surround ourselves with have a huge impact on our thinking. Choose wisely. Take action. Often, the best way to combat negative thoughts is to take positive action, no matter how small. Remember, the goal isn't to never have a negative thought again. That's unrealistic. The goal is to develop the skills to recognize these thoughts for what they are, often irrational and unhelpful, and to choose more constructive ways of thinking. As we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a powerful thought from Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a truth that modern psychology continues to validate. By mastering our thoughts, we're not just improving our mental health, we're opening up new possibilities in every area of our lives. We're becoming more resilient in the face of challenges. We're improving our relationships, our careers, and our overall sense of fulfillment. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you weren't held back by negative thinking. What goals would you pursue? What relationships would you nurture? What impact could you have on the world around you? This isn't just a philosophical exercise. It's about real, tangible changes in your life. I've seen people transform their careers, heal relationships, and achieve goals they once thought impossible, all by changing the way they think. Now, I want to address a common concern. Some of you might be thinking, but isn't some negative thinking useful? Doesn't it protect us from danger or disappointment? It's a valid question, and the answer is yes to an extent. A healthy dose of caution or skepticism can be beneficial. But there's a crucial difference between realistic caution and debilitating negative thinking. The key is balance and perspective. It's about assessing situations realistically, preparing for potential challenges, but not letting fear or pessimism paralyze us or hold us back from pursuing what's important to us. As we conclude, I want to emphasize that overcoming negative thinking is a journey, not a destination. It's a skill that we develop over time, with practice and patience. There will be setbacks along the way, and that's okay. What matters is that we keep moving forward, keep challenging those negative thoughts, and keep choosing more empowering ways of thinking. Remember, you have the power to shape your thoughts, and in doing so, to shape your life. The ancient Stoics knew this, and modern psychology confirms it. You are not at the mercy of your negative thoughts. You have the ability to examine them, challenge them, and ultimately to change them. So I challenge you, start today, pay attention to your thoughts. When you catch yourself in a negative thinking pattern, pause. Question it. Ask yourself, is this really true? Is this thought helping me or holding me back? And then make a conscious choice to reframe that thought in a more constructive way. It won't always be easy, but I promise you, it will be worth it. Because on the other side of this challenge lies a life of greater peace, purpose, and potential. As you leave here today, I want you to remember this. Your mind is a powerful tool. It can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The choice is yours. Choose wisely and you'll unlock a level of personal growth and fulfillment that you may have never thought possible. Thank you for your attention and engagement. I believe in each and every one of you, and I'm excited to see the positive changes you'll create in your lives by mastering your thoughts. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today. Let's conclude with a quote from Epictetus that encapsulates our discussion today. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your reactions, your interpretations, your thoughts, these are your superpower. Use them wisely and watch as your world transforms. Thank you, and I wish you all the best on your journey towards mastering your mind and creating the life you truly desire.